Then inhale, exhale, come seated on your bottom. And then we're going to work with this Kriya, and a Kriya for excellence. It is the Subha Kriya. Okay. Eyes at the tip of the nose. Hud, hud, hud. So we have the right thumb on top of left. Okay. Hud, 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 hud. Inhale, exhale, look at the tip of the nose, cross and recross above the arc line, at the arc line in front of the forehead, 60 degree, cross at the HUD, and mentally chant HUD, mentally. And then inhale, exhale, relax a second. Look at the tip of the nose, thumb on Mercury mound, pinky mound, little circles backward. God, chant God, 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 inhale, exhale, have right hand in front of left at the heart, right hand in front of left at the heart, go very fast here at the throat area, throat, navel area, look at the tip of the nose, chant, Har Hare Hari, Wahe Guru, 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 Har Hare Hari, Waheguru, Har Hare Hare, Waheguru, Har Hare Hare, Waheguru, whisper, Har Hare Hare, Waheguru, 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 Har Hare Hare, Waheguru. Now, whistle. Inhale. Exhale. And then right hand over left, close the eyes, sit like an Indian chief, sit tall, tuck in the chin, open the heart, breathe long and deep. Inhale 10 to 12 seconds, exhale 10 to 12 seconds, mentally reciting victory, victory. Inhale. Exhale. And relax. So you can close your eyes, drop within, go deeper inside. And visualize the royal blue flame. See the royal blue flame in your inside called the burning bush of God. See the royal blue flame. This is of utter protection. This is also of alchemical power, right? To transform, rebirth, death, rebirth. It's about transmutation, deep healing, manifestation. That's the color, pure. And see yourself in it. See your Merkaba being defined. You're going to chant. You're going to see yourself in this royal blue flame. See it painting your skin, your aura, raising the frequency of your baseline, all the chakras, bodies. Just allow it to stream through you, to weave through you. Adgure Name, Jugadgure Name, Sadgure Name, Sri Guru Deve Name. Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach, Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach. Adgure Name, Jugadgure Name, Sadgure Name, Sri Guru Deve Name. Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach, Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach. Adgure Name, Jugadgure Name, Sadgure Name, Sri Guru Deve Name. Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach, Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach. Adgure Name, Jugadgure Name, Sadgure Name, Sri Guru Deve Name. Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach, Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach. Adgure Name, Jugadgure Name, Sadgure Name, Sri Guru Deve Name. Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach, Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach. Adgure Name, Jugadgure Name, Sadgure Name, Sri Guru Deve Name. Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach, Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach. Adgure Name, Jugadgure Name, Sadgure Name, Sri Guru Deve Name. Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach, Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach. Adgure Name, Jugadgure Name, Sadgure Name, Sri Guru Deve Name. Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach, Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach. And bring your hands a downward triangle here at the navel. Adgure Name, Jugadgure Name, Sadgure Name, Sri Guru Deve Name. Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach, Ad Sach Jugad Sach, Ebe Sach Nanakosi, Be Sach. So follow the movement. Adgure Name, Jugadgure Name, Sadgure Name, Sri Guru Deve Name. Ad Sach Jugad Sach Ebe Sach Nanakosi Be Sach Ad Sach Jugad Sach Ebe Sach Nanakosi Be Sach Adgarename Jugadgarename Satgarename Sirigadename Ad Sach Jugad Sach Ebe Sach Nanakosi Be Sach Ad Sach Jugad Sach Ebe Sach Nanakosi Be Sach Adgarename, Jugadgarename, Satgarename, Sirigadename, Ad Sach Jugad Sach Ebe Sach Nanakosi Be Sach Ad Sach Jugad Sach Ebe Sach Nanakosi Be Sach Adgarename, Jugadgarename, Satgarename, Sirigadename, Ad Sach Jugad Sach Ebe Sach Nanakosi Be Sach Ad Sach Jugad Sach Ebe Sach Nanakosi Be Sach Adgarename, Jugadgarename, Satgarename, Sirigadename, Ad Sach Jugad Sach Ebe Sach Nanakosi Be Sach Ad Sach Jugad Sach Ebe Sach Nanakosi Be Sach Adgarename, Jugadgarename, Satgarename, Sirigadename, Ad Sach Jugad Sach Ebe Sach Nanakosi Be Sach Ad Sach Jugad Sach Ebe Sach Nanakosi Be Sach Adgarename, Jugadgarename, Satgarename, Sirigadename, Ad Sach Jugad Sach Ebe Sach Nanakosi Be Sach Ad Sach Jugad Sach Ebe Sach Nanakosi Be Sach. Now hold here. Breath of fire. Then face it out. So your palms facing straight up. Now bring it to prayer. Continue breath of fire. Open it up, lotus on top of the head. Exhale. Breathe long and deep. And see your spine like a stem. And see the top of your head like a red rose. A red rose. You are a red rose. And inhale. Exhale. Open up that lotus, lift it up. See that rose coming out of the dirt. Stretch. Really stretch. Reach. Your stem coming out of the dirt. A rose reaching towards the light. Inhale. Exhale. And then bring it slowly down, each chakra down, down, down into the soil. Blessing the earth, fingertips together. Blessing the earth, blessing the earth, blessing the earth. Reach it out. 2 fingers touching, middle finger, pointer finger. Feel the back of your heart beaming with green energy. Inhale. Exhale. And then you're going to begin to ecstatically move your body however you choose. You're going to open up the legs, so it's not just going to be seated. You're going to open up the legs as wide as you can, okay? And then you're going to dance the upper body. So wide sort of front split. So you're just really moving the body. Keeping the legs open, you can fall forward. You really don't want to play your upper body with your lower body. It's like you're doing a sort of dancing stretch. So just open it wide. You can create circles. You can go down. You can do like serpent-like movement. And then inhale. Exhale. And then begin to relax, meditate the mind. You can lay on your back. You can lay on your back, you can lay seated, but then just fully surrender. Breathe long and deep. Inhale. Exhale. You can begin to move your fingers and toes. You can begin to cat stretch side to side. You can begin to rock and roll all the way up to seated. You can inhale, exhale, and Sat Nam. So we talk about the Isis frequency in the teachings. So we talked about the teachings of personal power, having a voice. We talked about sovereignty, independence, creativity. So the practice of womanhood is about developing the fullness of the 8 chakras, the 10 bodies, and embodying the soul intelligence. And the soul intelligence is equivalent to what we would call as the shamanistic mind, right? And the shamanistic mind is quite interdimensional. It's quite fifth dimensional. It can understand fifth dimensional concepts, right? It's quite metaphysical. And you know, the masculine mind, or we want to say masculine, we'll say the linear mind, right? The linear mind becomes spherical, right? Two-dimensional, sort of flat surface, kind of like a flat Stanley, becomes three-dimensional, which is spherical, right? So everything about the Isis teachings of ancient Egypt was about cosmology, that's spherical, right? We think of a star, you think of the spiral of the star. We think of a galaxy, you think again the spiral of the galaxy, or you're thinking of the expansion, the sort of rotation, right? There's a sort of circular movement that's not flat, right? We think of the womb is three-dimensional, it's not flat. We think of the heart is three-dimensional, it's not flat. When I think of like a flat Stanley or linear, we're just working with a two-dimensional perception, right? So, you know, cosmology, evolutionary astrology, the rotation, right, of the sky, looking at the different positions of constellations throughout different periods of time, when different seasons, solstices, equinoxes, and also the education of geometry, which is also related to geology. When it comes, you know, we all have seen monolithic, you know, structures, right? They're in these kind of geometric kind of positions, but it also looks like natural sort of formations in many ways. And, you know, all of this, you know, is done for activation, right? To kind of uphold a particular frequency on this planet, a particular frequency for the community, or, you know, for the civilization, right? So, you know, this whole we think of this whole society is sort of the foundation of it is a kind of spirituality. When it comes to, you know, agriculture, when it comes to, again, the praying for rain, when it comes to blessing, you know, the giving appreciation for the river, the water that brings prosperity to your life because it brings fruition to your crops, right? When we're thinking about the giving of birth and women being able to give birth, that is seen as something very, some great appreciation for that. When it comes to, you know, building a home, having generations, right? There's a sense of spirituality to that, a sense of progress and of sharing of knowledge to help these generations to do well, to do well with the whatever pressures or crises or challenges that they're presented with at that time. So when we look at personal power for the woman and the rite of passage of womanhood, right, into sort of excellence, which we worked on, you know, the personal power has a lot to do with the risk. And that's the first kind of initiation a woman is presented with: personal power and the risk. Personal power in the risk has a lot to do with the mystery, the unknown. And the linear mind, that patriarchal perception doesn't like the mystery, doesn't like the unknown. It'd rather just control, force, authoritative type of, that kind of thing. But the mystery and the unknown has a lot to do with the risk, and a valid risk, which is based off of moving towards creativity, right? So the personal power is like phase one. Creativity is like the last phase, right? Which is kind of you coming into your own, right? So when there is a risk towards creativity, that's a valid risk. So the mystery and the unknown, there's all kinds of dealings with that. It can be reckless dealings, like destructive dealings with it, where it's like chaos and it's like free for all and do whatever for whatever, and it's kind of risks that have no intuition, that have no backbone, that have no character. Because there are people who take risks but they don't have no character, so it becomes very destructive for them to take risks, right? Because they're not prepared, right? When you're going to get a reaction, right? When you make big change, and that's what risk is, you're going to get a reaction, and that reaction is not necessarily going to be, it's going to be character development, but it's not necessarily going to be smooth sailing or easy, right? It depends on and how trusting you are. So the personal power has a lot to do with the closeness with God, the prayer, the faith, right? Because when you go in the mystery and the unknown, because you're trying to take a risk towards creativity, there's a level of trust. It's like you're at the beginning stages. You must trust your body. You must trust the practice. You must trust the imperfections, right? So there's a level of building trust, right? The first foundation to, a woman developing either her psychic gifts, her femininity, sacred sexuality, relationship, harmony, prosperity, she must have trust in herself. And personal power is a great trust in yourself. When you see women who are facing all kinds of adversity, all kinds of, even discrimination and the discouragement, even belittlement, that self-trust is real strong character of the I am, right? Because when you have a vision towards creativity, that trust in the risk, or in, having the faith towards the movement forward, or the practice, the participation, that is your kind of backbone, right? So, personal power and creativity go hand in hand. When you have a vision, you have a sense of perseverance. And that's also a part of the personal power kind of initiation is perseverance. Women have a lot of energy, a lot more energy than men. We have a lot of energy just naturally because, we have children, we have menstrual cycles, but we also were given a lot of energy for a reason, right? We have a strong fire, and not just a fire as a fire element, but also I like to say the royal blue fire, of transformation, right? We sort of transmute karma. Just through our menstrual cycle, we're transmuting karma, right? And we do that, so many times, right, before we, hit menopause, right? And even after menopause, we have a new way of cycling and recycling and sort of taking out the karma, the trash, the karma trash, right? And also kind of instilling a fresher energy. So that fire is all about the kind of freshness, right? Always keeping it fresh as the woman, right? So it's about cleaning out the karma and putting in a redefining the karma, redefining the pattern, the lineage, redefining the behavior, the ritual, the habit, right? So that's a lot of fire, a lot of movement. Women are meant to be movement. When she is movement, when you see a woman versus a man, women are movement. They are movement to the finest. You can see men doing, soccer and basketball and that kind of movement, which can be more like competitive movement. Women movement is not competitive, it's liberating. So that is like a certain kind of caliber of energy that is the pure embodiment of clearing the karma and really opening up to the utilizing the entire chakra system,
right? So when you see women move, either it's the ballet, hip hop, jazz, I mean, you see men too, but they're the femme energy, you know, both in a man and a woman. When it's being expressed with the physical movement, it's like total beauty, total magnetism, total just pure creativity, right? When we move, we're meant to move. We're meant to be a movement, either a movement of change in our lives, movement of creativity, movement of education, movement of just our own sort of psyche. We're meant to move that psyche continuously, like fifth dimensional, you know, cosmology and evolutionary astrology, geometry. So, you know, that's personal power, getting into the mystery, getting into the unknown. That's how you deepen the mind. That's how you go in, how you see what is unseen. You look beyond the veil, right? Start to develop the higher mind. It's a risk when you develop the higher mind, because that means you have to transcend some of these beliefs about yourself. You got to transmute some of these beliefs about yourself. It means you gotta, you know, be open and willing to practice the art of being you. Right? That takes a lot of perseverance to practice the art of being you, when, you know, there's a lot of, you know, challengers, right? That is more about the forceful, authoritative, controlling, everybody needs to be the same, with this gray. I like to call it gray. Everybody's the same, nobody thinks for themselves, everybody's kind of indoctrinated and this kind of washed out, you know what I'm saying? Where people washed out. That's mediocrity. You're washed out, right? You lose your color, you lose your movement, you're washed out. It's the gray of that kind of control sort of mechanism of survival type of more fear, you know, deep fear embedded in that kind of projection. So then we have the voice. So when we work through the personal power, you get through the risk for creativity, right? Every, you know, great genius or somebody who discovered something, or, you know, potentiate humanity further in evolution, it was a risk for creativity, right? And that's how you develop intuition, and the voice, right? With the intuition is about being able to articulate yourself, where your voice becomes a beacon of light, your voice becomes a beacon of reason, your voice becomes like a sort of channel of knowledge. And that comes through, you know, really educating yourself. It could be traditional, non-traditional, whatever it is, that really, the voice is meant to activate. It's not meant to be jargon. It's not meant to be mindless. It's not meant to be just chatter, that just noise, distraction. It's meant to be activational. It's meant to kind of awaken a greater sense of self. So in our voice, you know, the words we choose in our dialogue, that's how we build up our self-worth as a woman, right? Women who use their voice, you're working on your self-worth, right? Your self-worth. Okay, so the working on the voice can be artistic expressions. Voice is not just communication. It can be different forms of communication, like movement. There is even self-psychology, where you're doing a self, you know, kind of hypnosis and that kind of thing. It can also be communication through painting, through pottery. It could be communication through poetry. You know, it can be through stillness, the silence, these type of things. You know, where it's about getting in tune with your impact, getting in tune with you know, the inspiration of you, the muse in you, and really fine-tuning your voice, your ability to digest and to process emotions, and your ability to transmute and alchemize emotions, and to let your words be of rebirth, not of death, but of rebirth. Let your words be rehabilitating, corrective, constructive, creative. Right? And we spend a lot of times on that voice as women, because we have a lot of belittlement, a lot of, you know, low self-worth. So, you know, sometimes we have this unspoken word, or this unspoken voice, which can be very, very discouraging, right? Disempowering. That's why we need a high frequency of women in a group, right? Because a circle, you know, women in a group whoa, the voice is it just levels up to just high alchemical force of creativity. You know, Women in Circle, the whole voice and the projection is about, you know, fulfilling the creative destiny of all of these women and their lineages and their children, and, you know, mothers of mothers, right? Children of children moving forward. So and then we get into personal power, voice, the sovereignty / the independence. You know, that comes through a great vision quest, right? Women were naturally map makers. When I think map makers, I think of you know, visualizers, where we can project and we can enhance the projection of our male companions, female companions, and we also can enhance our vision, right? That can be psychic, that can be the way we're thinking. We know how to maneuver and direct our thinking, right? It's quite with an agility, right? So, you know, to be kind of gray and washed, you know, because we have such a profound activation every month, our way of envisioning and our projections and our thought forms constantly sort of shifting constantly. And that when we start to work with it, we start to become map makers, which is an ability to organize the future, the ability to organize our lives, and to begin to sort of lead ourselves towards what's going to give us a greater expression of our femininity, right? So that's something we work on in that aspect of sovereignty and independence. And, you know, a lot of the independence, you know, in the patriarchal age, we've been taught to be very codependent, reliant on the masculine for survival. So there's a huge, you know, survival, like, kind of in us, a sort of fight or flight, like sort of terrorizing fear of being independent, because of survival in the past, right? In the patriarchal age, the dark age, where, you know, women were property, and we definitely were not allowed to be creative in a sort of self-sufficient way, right? So, you know, that sovereignty, that independence is kind of the you know, the fire of a woman is not understood by a man. You know, the fire of a woman is understood by women, right? You know, men, they again, the linear mind of the man, even just the nervous system of the man, it just, the fifth dimensional sort of concept of woman, and how multi-dimensional, talented, and she's maneuvering many things simultaneously. He doesn't have that kind of caliber in the way that he can kind of maneuver through those many different aspects of his chakras and his 10 bodies. You know, so the femme consciousness, when it moves through the man, right, either through the mother, you know, he has strong mother, grandmother, these sort of ancestors, women around, he is able to really kind of develop the fire, right, of the turning that anger. We talk about fire of anger, or fire of competitiveness, fire of greed, you know, these type of fires. You're able to kind of transform it into the fire of his own desire, not to just be great or to have glory, but the fire to be transformed, a fire to be the fire to be in power, to use that fire of desire to create grace and to make peace. A man's greatest accomplishment, fulfillment, is to make peace, to have peace. The greatest life lesson of man is peace. And for women, the greatest completion or accomplishment for the woman incarnation is freedom. Freedom. Freedom from limitation, from restriction, from control. Freedom from being indoctrinated. Freedom from pain. Freedom from grief. karma and the repetitive habit, behavior, attitude, and life experience. So women, the freedom is about complete liberation from suffering, right? And for man, peace is the complete liberation from fear, from limited thinking, from being at odds with himself, odds within the emotions and within the thoughts. Peace in one's empowerment, one's grace. That is the man coming into his divine masculinity. So with the final, you could say, phase of a woman coming into her own, into her belonging, is creativity. Creativity is the expression of her purity and expression of her joy, right? To be joy is quite revolutionary, especially on this planet, right? Joy is about the complete, just shaking off the shackles, the chains, the shackles, the chains, and just being connected to your ancestors, the angels, the guides who are here to help the women come into the fullness of their impact on this earth, their leadership, their vision, right? To fulfill these sort of visions they have, these visualizations that they carry with them of fresher, replenished, and more vital experiences with earth. So that creativity is about the creation, the create, the constructive, corrective, the kind of the art that brings healing, the joy that awakens greater levels of connection to earth, that up levels the status, that up levels the prosperity, up levels the self-esteem, that brings about a sort of triumph, because that creativity is the sort of key to unlocking doors, right, to this earth and other experiences, greater experiences of prosperity, greater experiences of healing, of clearing of karma. The creativity is using that fire that we all have as women to create karma clearing, to create prosperity, to bring courage, to bring great visualization, talents, gifts, craftsmanship. So that's about the directing that fire, right? We all have that fire. We can use it for destruction, right? Or we can use that for really building ourselves up to think highly of ourselves. So when we have this freedom, we think highly of ourselves. There's a sense of leadership, right? That creativity is the leadership of our ability to navigate and how to unlock doors and how to open windows and how to go into different time and space with a sense of self, with a sense of authenticity, a sense of, that I am, I kind of know where I stand. I'm not so shaken by the intensity of creation and the polarization of that and the duality of that, and also in the transformation of that. So that's where, that fire woman that's given to her, just inherited fire, that becomes this great energy, this great enthusiasm for taking the long journey and meeting one's destiny. So we say women represent the creative destiny of meeting one's destiny, and that can be clearing of karma, that can be up-leveling the whole bloodline, that could be bringing prosperity, that could be sort of bringing in teachings or practices, patterns and habits, behaviors that are more constructive and graceful, right? That brings more self-worth and virtue to the women and the identity of the woman. So this is the real, the identity of the woman is creativity. freedom. The identity of man is peace, harmony, right? So you see the kind of difference, right? We think, men are not really seeking harmony, right? With the competitive, that kind of thing is, right? Especially in the patriarchal age, the medieval times. But it's peace, harmony, right? For women, it's creativity, it's freedom. So again, there's more fire. When there's creativity, there's freedom, there's a lot more celebration, there's a lot more fire, there's a lot more intensity, there's a lot more growth in the way of transformation, rebirth, reinvention, all the re's, I like to say, of just, kind of a revolution inside, right? That kind of feeds the desire for a woman to be in awe of herself, right? To feel grace in what she speaks and what she connects to, what she creates and what she makes. Again, the movement. A woman must move the psyche, move the hands, move the toes, move the eyes, move the imagination. It can be subtly, it can be expansively, right? And for the man, it's really the peace and the harmony that comes from a man having a reconciliation with himself. We call it the heart and the mind, right? Reconciliation between a man's head and his heart, right? That brings mercy and forgiveness and brings philosophy and brings this sort of, man wants harmony. That's why man is looking for woman, right? Because man knows that woman can activate him in a certain way that will help to awaken the peace in him, the desire really for peace. Right? We could go through the ego driven, the ego, whatever, narcissist, selfish, but that's just chaos, right? And that's exhausting for men, right? The peace is the harmony. The peace in the harmony is about really getting to relax and enjoy the pleasure of life, right? In a way where the grace of it kind of mends his soul, not tears his soul up, mends his soul. It's a different experience, right? The pleasure that's graceful kind of mends his soul. It kind of, again, reconciliation, head and the heart, which is the same as the head and nature. The heart is nature. So peace is about making peace with nature, not tearing up nature, reckless, doing whatever, because my ego is raging at nature, because this, that, and the other, right? That's a kind of accomplishment or completion of a man incarnation, right? Journey, right? And the completion of the woman incarnation journey is about, the coming into the freedom, the creativity, and experiencing you being awe of oneself, awe of one's movement and one's strength and one's ability to make a choice. So a lot of the woman is about inner allness, being awe of yourself, appreciating yourself, right? And recognizing your potential as a woman. That's really the kind of allness. I'm kind of wonderstruck, right, by the woman, right? Even if it's just poetry or other women, we have other women and supporting that, right? That gives a great sense of ease, right, in the incarnation of woman. So when man and women come together, the man is, pursuing harmony in the woman, right? The peace, he wants the peace in his life, right? And the ego and get this, that, and the other, and running around and survival and this, that, and the other. And the woman, the harmony that she gives is through that ability to, again, through her voice, through her movement, to sort of direct the partnership towards growth. Right, the fertility of her brings fertility to him, right? And in the imperfection, in the fear, the terror, the trauma that we all carry, the healing journey of the woman is quite the headway, headway, the sort of trailblazing event that men kind of follow in the lead in many ways. So women naturally, when they kind of, you know, they're healing and going through the womanhood, it's very trailblazing on this planet. Even if it's just, again, it doesn't necessarily be women, it could be the femme consciousness that can move through any male body or female body. It's trailblazing, right? Because that kind of healing, or that intensity of healing, that kind of going with the healing, kind of transforming with the healing, right? Embracing the mystery, the unknown, which is the intensity, is quite it's expansive. So women are naturally expansive. The feminine energy, the femininity, again, fifth dimensional, more expansive. While, you know, men, they're seeking to kind of harmonize and sync up with that expansion of the femininity, but also with nature, the expansive nature of, you know, the stars, of his own mind, of his own heart, right? And kind of making peace with the sort of the duality and the sort of polarization, right? And kind of finding that center. Men is like finding that center. The masculine in us all is about finding that center. The feminine in us all is about allowing the balance, or the sort of seeming imbalances that are kind of, you know, the elements always kind of create us a little imbalance, right? As we're kind of shifting and always moving, and finding an expression that that remedies, that sort of mediates, right? So that's the kind of creativity, is the remedies, the medicine, is to be able to mediate, to bring moderation, to kind of equalize, to kind of adjust and correct, and kind of counterbalance, right? And that's what requires to be dynamic, to know the kind of movements and how we can best kind of maneuver ourselves through them, is quite a map maker of time and space in one's own psyche. So I'm going to leave you guys with this teachings from the, you know, we say the Isis lineage. Again, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Kuan Yin, White Buffalo Woman, and I'm sharing some of it with you all. So thank you, and Sat Nam.